Welcome everybody. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the School of Education under the University of KwaZulu Natal. And today we will be talking to senior students who are doing their bachelor's degree of education. And today they will be telling us more about gender views. They'll also touch on some theories, specifically the conflict theory and the functionalism. So everyone, may we please welcome Dimple. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So I was busy reading about your history, that you have come through a really disadvantaged background and you're really striving to achieve what you really want in life. So can you please tell us more about the gender views?
Very cool. Basically me, I'm more focused or have a better understanding of sociology's view on gender. So basically I can just tell you, define for you what gender is based on my understanding as a sociologist. Before I begin, I'll first explain what we do as sociologists.
Yes,
basically, we basically discover or explain social interactions between human beings. So that's what we are focused on, learning or developing and understanding is people's social understandings and social behaviors. So now when we focus on gender, there's gender and sex. We'll first define sex. Sex is basically your physical attributes. So for example, in this poster you have behind us, this little boy here, well, the fact that I called him a boy is basically because of his physical attributes. So you can see that he has a penis, which obviously is what we would define what a male would have. And also a female would have a vagina, and that's how we define his sex. So that's what sex is about. It's just defining you based on your physical attributes. Now gender is, however, that is more different. Gender is fluid, basically. Gender is how society deems what men and women should do. So gender will say that a man should do this and that. Gender will say a female should do this and that. So basically that is how gender is defined. Gender is defined by society and what society deems appropriate for different genders and their roles.
Still talking about the gender fluidity, I had to recall back in history whereby Ellen DeGeneres had to come out of the closet about 20 years ago. She mentioned that she faced a lot of hate comments, a lot of hatred from everyone around the world. Can you tell us more about gender fluidity and how have people came to understanding? Are we still understanding this comparing it to 20 years ago?
I think basically before, everyone associated sex and gender as the same thing. So because if you look at Ellen DeGeneres, she's a female. By sex, she's a female. She has female physically she's a female. So of course we now would say as a gender she should act as a female, and as we all know, normally in the society a female should want a man. But that is not the case. Because gender is fluid, you would choose how you will see yourself as a gender. So as a gender, she prefers to be not necessarily a male, but she prefers to now be attracted to females, to dress up in a certain way, to do certain things that society would not understand because it's outside of the norm of what a female should be doing. So now as we're going with our time, obviously people are understanding it more, and we understand that gender is fluid. Anyone can be whatever they want to be. It's up to you what you define as your gender.
Yes. And still on the issue of she prefers, she normally says that she felt that way. Yes, that is how they explain it, that they felt that way. For her, she said that maybe she didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but she felt that connection. So still talking about that connection, do you think the Western countries are much more understanding when it comes to gender fluidity in terms comparing them to the Eastern countries, specifically Africa or our country, South Africa? Do you think America understands gender fluidity more than South Africa?
I definitely think so, because I think they have an opportunity, because of what they have, because how advanced they are, to explain it to people and for people to understand it. Of course, in our African countries, a lot of people are not developed as yet, so we're still living on our tradition. So traditionally, if I see you having certain physical attributes, I associate certain things with you. So when you do something outside of those physical attributes, something that is seen for another gender role, then of course now we won't understand and we don't I guess, maybe accept you easily, whereas that side, they have the opportunity to teach people and for people to understand and learn more about it in the school, so they go beyond their traditions.
Yes, you are very correct on that, and I have to remember that in America they have this show called The Modern Family. There is a gay couple, they have a family and a little baby girl, and here in South Africa we also see that manifesting itself in the soapies and the dramas. In Generations we do have a gender fluid woman, but here we see she is not married or has a family yet. Yes, the one in America, they are married and they have a family. Can you tell us more about that? Is South Africa still
I think because
on baby steps and understanding?
Yes, I think so, because I think you can't just come to someone and just full force give them everything. So I think you have to slowly just bring them into, okay, I understand you as an individual, you fluid. Okay, cool, I understand you have a couple now. Oh, okay, cool, you guys want to have kids. So it's like a baby step to letting everyone take it in slowly, because once you just give it to people full force, I think that's when people don't really understand and are against you now, because you're not giving them a chance to slowly get into it. America, of course, are more understanding of it, and that's why they can have a family on TV that do that. So
and nobody complains about it.
Everyone loves the show. Like, people watch it. It's a great show. So I think that's what really that we need. So I think for now we can start off with just one couple, and then maybe move on a bit more to maybe having a kid in the family, and then I think that will help us as people also understand how it works.
Still on that, how hard could it be, or how hard is it for people who are gender fluid to really come out, live their lives and be happy still in the society? Normally what we see is them working so hard to be fully independent that they cannot depend on anybody. For example, Somizi is like really talented, he's very independent. We also see people in America like Sam Smith, those people are independent. How is it? Do you think that they feel much more compelled to work hard so that they can just lock themselves out when the society begins to...
It's possible. I think because society has certain norms that it has, so certain things that they believe you should be doing. So now if you want to go outside of the norm, unfortunately I would believe you would have to work harder to be in that spot. So if I was gender fluid and I decided that I'm lesbian now, for me to succeed, there's so many barriers that will hold me back. So I always have to work harder than the other person to try and make it now, because society already is holding me back by how I express myself and how I see myself. So I think that's basically why they work harder than everyone else, because they know to be accepted they would have to do that, unfortunately.
Okay, I understand the fact that it is hard for gender fluid people to really be themselves and live a happy life, because they have to toil almost all their lives to be happy.
Never lot of that to tolerate.
Okay, can you tell us, as the people who study and examine the gender fluidity, how hard could it be for you to tell people and educate people about that? Because comparing to Oprah, when Ellen DeGeneres came out of the television show, she received so much hate. How hard could it be for you?
Of course, when we research these things, people have to understand that we're researching people. People are different. I can't expect the same results from everyone. So once I've concluded my research, I'm giving a general idea of what has happened. So of course society is different. So I may say gender is fluid. So the way how I got my research is what obviously would have to be focused on, now to explain more to people. And that's how I think it makes it easier, is once I explain my research. Because it's almost like if I just came to you as someone who didn't understand that lesbians is a real thing or something, or there's gay people, or you can be a certain way and still be straight or still be gay, I think people then wouldn't understand it. They'd have to understand my research behind it and understand how I got to those conclusions for everyone to understand. So sometimes, of course, people won't agree with what I say because, so it is what it is, but most people understand once they hear the research and hear how I got the conclusions I've come to.
Thank you very much, Dimple. So everyone, that was Dimple here on the show talking about gender views. Stay tuned, we'll be back after the break. We're talking to Sipolazi, who will be telling us more about the functionalist theory. Sipolazi, welcome to the show. So, may you please explain to us what is the functionalism theory?
Okay, the functionalist is also known as the functionalism. It was discovered by the works of Emily Duncan, who was more interested on how social orders could be maintained or could be possible, so that the community or the society, we say, could be stable in a way, so that everybody should have functions that or roles that they need to take care of or play.
Okay, so now we are in the modern world, more than in the 21st century. What does the functionalist say when they see everybody having different roles, or some other people having much more roles than others? What is your take on that?
I think it's good in a way, because as functionalists say, because everybody should have a role to play. That means we can all grow, because we normally have different backgrounds. I can learn from your background and you can also learn from mine. That means we can work something out and then grow together.
Okay, so you are basically telling us that everybody has a role to play, and if they do not fulfill their role, there will be dysfunction. Okay.
It's where conflict starts.
Okay, everyone, that was the functionalist view on gender. So thank you, Sipogazi.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so now we will be having Sipesihle, who will be telling us more about the critiques or the deeper understanding of the functionalist theory. Welcome, Sipesihle. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, may you please tell us more about the critiques of the functionalist theory?
Oh yes, as we've already heard, that functionalism states that everyone has a role to play. So my critique, the very biggest one, is that the roles as you've already heard from the previous speaker, that functionalist states that everyone has a role to play. And then in general, who decides what role in the society? And you find that there are roles that are attached to certain gender or sex. And then my critique is that maybe I am a male and I prefer to do a female role. You understand?
Yes.
And then by this, it means that I'm defying the theory of functionalism. Now I'm not performing my role, I am performing your role. But then I do like to perform that role. Understood? And then the roles, the issue of the roles having, everyone having a role, I think sometimes it becomes unfair because you find that certain people have more roles to play than the others, and other people have less roles to play than others. And for example, in the household, you find that a man is only working. Like his job, his role is to wake up and go to work. Yeah. And then when he's going to work, who is preparing for him to leave?
Oh,
his
we
wife.
do.
Yes, the wife has to wake up, run a bath for him, make sure that his clothes are ironed, and then only what he has to do, he just has to wake out and he just has to wake up and bath and then leaves. And then a woman is left at home for the rest of the day. All the house chores are left
Yes.
for a woman. You understand?
Yes,
And then you find that even when the man is around, he wants help a woman because he believes that it's her role to play. Like now you find a woman busy feeding the child and then busy cooking, and then you find that a man is also instructing a woman to do this and that. You understand? So the issue of functionalism, that roles are not always that. I think that's how the conflict theory came about, because you know that issue you will find that the man abused the woman's role. Now that like the power they have over women and their roles, they start abusing it, you know. So then the conflicts will arise because the woman will question, why do I have to do all this thing? Why won't you help me? And then the man will simply say, it's your role, and the functionalism will second the man. So I think that's the greatest critique of functionalism.
Okay, so basically, functionalism, it is defying the roles that have been delegated to us by the society regarding our physical appearances. That you're a woman, you have to clean, we have to cook and do everything for our husbands. So thank you very much on that take.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, everyone, now welcome back. Nonhlanhla will be telling us more about the conflict theory and its history. Please, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, may you please tell us more about the conflict theory also.
Okay, thank you. Today I'll be speaking based on the theorist. We have Karl Marx, Max Weber, and Charles Wright.
Mm-hmm.
So they argue that conflict theory comes with people in society feeling that men are dominant and women are subordinate.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Marx argues that gender inequality in politics, that in some cases women earn less money than men because they are a marginalized group.
Mm-hmm.
And Max Weber speaks of gender inequality in societies, in religions, and in education. So meaning that, and in some religions that we have beliefs that there are certain things women cannot do that men do, and there are certain things that men cannot do that women do. And Charles Wright speaks of different interests in a certain individual. For example, if I have certain interests that I'm a Christianity and that maybe you are a Hindu, that we don't socialize together because we have different interests. Meaning that I socialize with the people that I share the same interests with and the same views with. That's basically what it is.
Thank you very much. So the conflict theory history, she was drawing back on the origins of conflict theory, the people who came up with the theories and how they came about to defining them. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we will be welcoming Sian Dumisa, and he will be telling us about the conflict theory. Sian Dumisa, please welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, can you please tell us about the conflict theory, what it is?
Conflict theory has been drawn from the functionalist theory, where the roles of the man and the roles of a woman is being stipulated by the physical traits that the man a man is supposed to be a breadwinner. A female has to look for children at home and look after the household as a whole. But given that there's been the tug of war, as it's been stipulated by the chart here, there's been a type of war between the woman and the female, and the men and the males, where the roles that we, both you and myself, play within the society are stipulated because this is the way that I look, or this is what, without considering the fact that I may be gender fluid, because we are talking about gender here.
Yeah.
I may look like a man, yet I feel or I'm sexually oriented as a female.
Yes.
So in that case, there is constantly a type of war within me or by myself, where I say, okay, but I'm sexually oriented as a female. Why? But the society feels that I need to go and look out for cattle, or I need to look out for go and do outside chores.
Yes.
Yet I do like doing in household sort of chores. So, but then the conflict theory now comes to play to say the females, yes, they have their roles that they need to play, as well as the males. But now the problem comes when the males seen or viewed as the dominant group within the society, and then the females are the subordinate. And then the inequalities now kicks in. As the inequalities kicks in now, we are having a problem where there is a discrimination against gender. There is all those sorts of things that do not make the society live at harmony, you know.
Yes, I understand.
So basically, the conflict theory is there to say, no, guys, let's sit down and talk about these issues and find the way, what to call, from here, let's find a common ground to say, okay, you have the chores, I have the chores, but then the inequalities and the a discrimination against gender must be done away with. Yeah. So that's basically what conflict theory is. And another thing about this conflict theory, it's not the talk of today. It's been there for ages, even from the Bible, where in the temple they say the women should not speak because it's a disgrace. I personally feel that that's where the problem started.
In history.
In history. And I'm very grateful of some philosophers and some sociologists who came to say, guys, no, the society is an ever change. The society changes each and every day. So let's change the way of thinking. Let us find a way for everyone to have equal rights and everything within the society. Because if we all participate in the society and we exercise Ubuntu, we exercise harmony, we'll be having a very good society. So that's basically it.
Okay, so he was telling us that the conflict theory basically examines the inequality in terms of the gender, and it draws our attention to the fact that there is inequality, men are seen as the dominant group and women as the subordinate group. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
we will be talking to Melinda, who will be telling us more about the critics of the conflict theory. Please welcome Melinda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nolazi.
Your colleagues had been talking about the conflict theory. May you please tell us more about the critics of the conflict theory?
Okay, previously when I was listening, I heard Notlandla stating that conflict theory states that there is a subordinate group and a dominant group. Obviously with the men being the dominant group and the woman being the subordinate. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
But as a critique of conflict theory, I believe that conflict theory makes us aware of the problem caused by the different roles. To be critical, not all roles are made for certain people. Okay, I believe that all roles are made for certain people. For example, we believe that a man should get up in the morning and go to work. The woman should stay at home, cook, clean, and look after the children. That's how we've always viewed this. And some people really don't have a problem with this because that's how it just is. Conflict theory states that as men are the subordinate group and women are the
men are dominant.
Sorry about that. As women are the subordinate and men are the dominant.
Yes.
They believe that abafazi bayacindezelwa, and we don't see that as the critiques of conflict theory.
Yes.
And for example, as you see this picture, the virginity testing, we believe that virginity testing is supposed to be performed by young girls they are being tested by women. As you can see, it's just ladies here. There are no men.
Yes.
And I believe that men, you can't tell a man to test a woman. It just doesn't seem right.
To do the fertility testing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, she was telling us about the critics of the conflict theory. That is basically tells us that there is the inequality in terms of gender, whereas in some other cases, a specific gender role can be defined or given to a certain gender, and there is no inequality in terms of that. She made an example of the virginity testing, that it is okay for women to perform the virginity testing, to be the one who test or groom women to being the grown-up women. So technically she was saying that you cannot assign a man for the role of virginity testing. So that is what she was saying, right?
Yes, some roles are better performed by a certain gender.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This was Melinda on the critics of the conflict theory.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So now we have had our students who have been telling us more about the gender views and also who have touched on the theories. We learned that gender views, in terms of gender is defined by not only the physical appearance, but there is also gender fluidity. They explain to us more about that. We also get to know about the functionalism theory, that everybody has a role to play in the society or at home, and that the critics of the functionalist theory is that just because you are a man doesn't mean you only have to provide for your family. Just because you are a woman, you don't only have to stay at home and look after the kids. Anybody can perform different roles. Everybody can be flexible and move around the roles at home and in the society. We also learned about the conflict theory, which drew our attention to the inequalities in terms of gender, that women are the subordinate group and men are the dominant group. We also had the critics of the conflict theory telling us that it's not necessarily always like that. The case is not always like that. Some gender roles are better performed by that gender. They made an example of virginity testing, that you cannot assign a man to do virginity testing or grooming women to becoming all these from women who are matured and open-minded and understanding. So that was our talk show today. So right now, I have to ask you, if you have some questions, some new understanding, please forward your questions on our Facebook page. So that is all for today. We are here in the School of Education under the University of KwaZulu Natal, and this was our take on the topic of today, which is gender. Thank you very much, and I am Nolwazi Pasha, your host.